I have a huge stack of manga next to me and I'm so nervous that I'm gonna hit it because I'm like, I read quite a bit last month and I didn't realize how much I read, especially when it came to physical, until I saw this stack of manga next to me. Hello friends, happy Friday, so excited that you're here. It is my June reading wrap up of all the amazing things I read last month, and truly last month was amazing. I read roughly 36 different volumes of manga. I did combine, like, there were 3 different titles that I read on like digital apps, and I sort of just smushed all of the chapters that I read together and made it one volume. It was amazing. There was honestly nothing that I didn't like last month. I loved everything. I mean, some things I loved more than others, obviously, but everything was something I wanted to keep and I didn't drop. I didn't want to sell or anything, you know, like I did for my top 5 Wednesday video this past week, talking about manga that I have. But let's go ahead and dive into the digital things that I read. I don't know if this is a new trend for me, but I have noticed whenever there is shoujo manga that gets up on a new app like K-Manga or Manga Up, that I'm like, I want to really go check it out. Now, for the first thing that I literally read at the beginning of the month was On and Off Work Life and Balance. I read chapters 1 through 5. This is on the Manga Up app. This is not a shoujo, but I had seen so many glowing things about this manga, and when I saw it was on the app, I knew I wanted to try it right away. It was amazing. This is honestly one manga I'm really hoping will get licensed. I think it will do really, really well. It's about these 2 different people. They're one way at work, but when they get off work, they go and pursue their hobbies. One of them, the guy, he likes dressing in the, is it the Lolita style? And then the guy, or the girl, excuse me, she like dresses punk rock. They are very, very different, but I really love seeing them interact because the guy knows who the girl is, but the girl doesn't know who the guy is when they're like off work. And it's really interesting because she's sort of, the girl's sort of grumpy at work, but when she's off work, she's like super nice. She's super kind. And so I have not come back, but I think when I did look last night, chapter 6 is up, but I think you have to use like their point system or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not ready because I also started the Otoku Love Connection. I read chapters 1 through 2. This was hilarious as all get out. Oh my goodness, I loved it. As a fangirl, I really saw myself in the, I don't know if he's the main male lead, but I guess the main character, or at least how I see that he would be the main character. I really just related to the whole shipping thing. Granted, I have not shipped people in real life the same way that he's doing with the couple that's on this cover, but the way he just loves them and the way that he gets really excited of how that they act, and then he sees like their real side, their real personalities, and he gets really excited. I really related to that a lot and just had a fantastic time reading both of these chapters. I'm eagerly looking forward to reading more. Definitely another one that I would love to see physically printed because I think it's just so enjoyable that I could easily see myself coming back to this time and time again. And I feel like I won't do that quite as much with digital because I have to read on such a tiny screen. And I'm like, if I could just have it in paper and physically see it, that would be really, really amazing. So I would highly recommend that one as well. The last one that I read, shout out to my friend NegativePrime, because he was the one, he's like, hey, have you tried this? And he is one of my, I guess, friends, partner on Beneath the Tangles team. He's really awesome. So this is a new shoujo manga that's on the K-Manga app. I have to read the title from my computer screen because it's super long. I body switched with an evil hag for 10 years, and now my knight ex-fiance, who never wanted to see me again, can't let me go. Yeah, that is a handful of a title. So I tried this. I read chapters 1 through 4, and I was like, okay, this is good. This is good, like, you know, as I'm reading. And then as I'm getting more and more invested, and there was a time literally when my jaw dropped, and I was like, the twist. Maybe they're very obvious twists, I don't know, but I was gullible and I fell for them, and I was so invested. I felt like this was a very different story in the sense that I expected one thing, but got something else. I really was caught off guard how there is this, you're trying to figure out things about why exactly this body switch happened, and she's trying to reconcile in a way, and I say in a way because the prince here, the fiance, ex-fiance, excuse me, like, I want nothing to do with it. She's like, okay, I'm gonna respect that, but she still wants to reconcile, and at least where he's not mad at her because of all the bad things that her previous self did, but it wasn't actually her. It was the evil hag, I guess you could say, that did all these horrible things. And so where she's trying to reconcile and at least be on good terms and respect him, she is trying to find people from when she was body switched, and there is just this layer of mystery that I honestly didn't expect, and nobody seems to be who they're supposed to be. And I like spammed my friend all of these messages of like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to expect. It just sent him GIFs. It was really great. And I was just really surprised. I definitely thought it would be a good recommendation because he recommended it, but it was just like, I don't know. I think I didn't expect to get so invested, and I haven't unfortunately come back because I feel like I'm worried that because I loved it so much that I'm going to want to buy the chapters, because I don't like how K-manga did it for this said manga. They are breaking up one chapter into 4 segments or 4 parts. And so you're having to use more tickets and more points to read it, and I don't like that. But at the same time, I want to keep reading. So those were my 3 digital manga that I really, really enjoyed, all 3. Add them all to my physical wish list of manga that I wanted to see printed. Really hope that we will indeed see them printed at some point. They're all really short series. I think the Evil Hag's the only one that has 4 volumes in Japan right now, and the other 2 only have like 2 or 3 volumes. But I did see that for the, I think it's called the Next Manga Awards 2024, On and Off was actually nominated for the web category, and I did vote for it. I don't know if the voting's still open, but I'll leave a link down below because Reliving My Life with a Boyfriend Who Doesn't Remember Me was on there, and then I voted for this one manga that's not in English because it sounds so incredibly cute, and I was really excited for it. And I also voted in the print manga category, but I voted for all shoujo for that one. But yeah, anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to ramble, but if you're interested in voting, I hope that the voting's still open. I'll leave the link down below. So let's go ahead and go into my physical stack of manga over here. Sorry, I had to move my water so I can make space of moving this stack. I really hope it doesn't fall, y'all. I really hope it doesn't. Starting off with Yuzutoki Rhetoric Volume 7. I really enjoyed this, so I will mention there were a few typos or missing words that did affect my enjoyment of this volume a little bit, and I was really disappointed because I deeply love this series. The opening chapter was super funny because it has our main girl's friend. What is her name? I don't even remember her name, but it's this girl right here, and she goes, you know, solving mysteries, and she shouldn't be, but it's because she's so funny and so much fun that I really, really enjoyed it. We saw Miss Lily. She had a chapter focus, and that was really great. Kaneko and our detective here, Iwai, they are going to go meet his brother, and so that was really interesting. I feel like the mystery is just beginning when it comes to that, and I have a lot of questions, so I'm really eager for the next volume. And of all things, my volume 8 shipped super early. It is like already on its way here, and I'm like, doesn't this come out next month? And yeah, it comes out in August, but for some reason it shipped in July. I think it even shipped before June ended, so maybe it'll be here today. But I really enjoyed it despite some of the translation things and getting a little bit confused. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a great way to start off the month with my physical manga. I was a little bit on the fence if I was going to love this one because I didn't like how the previous volume ended, even though as a whole, I really loved the previous volume, and that is Dark Moon, The Blood Altar Volume 3. Oh my goodness, this was so very good. I feel like things were answered about some of the concerns I had, especially about our main girl, and I'm like, why did you make that decision? But it really went in depth of why she made that decision. I really appreciate that because I needed that. That was like the one thing that was stopping me from super loving this series, but we got back to this volume, and even though there was an info dump, and I was like, why did this person come and share all these things? I do feel like it was very much needed for the story so that we know where the story is going. But that sports scene, that sports match, absolutely incredible. I am blown away by the action scenes and how things are just brought, like movement is just brought to life in this manga. It is incredible. I feel bad because so much was revealed in this volume, and I'm like, I really don't know where things are gonna go, but it doesn't look like it's gonna go a good direction. But now we know different things about all of our guys. We know things about Suha, how it's changed everything. Whether they want it to change or not, it really has changed everything. And it definitely has come out about that certain characters really like Suha, so that is causing a like romantic drama element to the story, like not overwhelmingly so, because right now they're looking for something. Can't say what that something is, but I'm like, please let everything be okay So I really continue to enjoy and love this series. It's a feast. Like, just looking at that sports match was absolutely everything. It was really, really good, and I'm excited for the next volume. This was my favorite read. Oh my goodness, y'all. Volume 4 of Hi, I'm a Witch and My Crush Wants Me to Make a Love Potion. Oh my goodness, I read this so many times. This was everything I have been wanting, everything I didn't know I needed. I reread some of my favorite parts this morning. Oh, it is good. It is so good. I'm so glad I stuck with this series because I love volume 1, but I didn't love volume 2, or maybe it was like reverse. I think I didn't love volume 1, but I love volume 2, and then I've been hooked ever since. This volume, you need to read it. If you're a fan of the series, honestly, this has the most tension yet that we've seen, and I definitely feel like the tension between these two has been amping up like gradually, but this volume, so many things went down like in the best of ways possible. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen in volume 5. I don't even know when volume 5 releases, but we need it. We need it because it was phenomenal, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. Every time I have reread it, I really feel like I feel all the emotions I felt the first time that I read it, and just so very happy. I can't even show anything I was going to. I'm like, nope, we just got to close that. But if you're a fan of this series, you need to get this volume ASAP. Especially, like, I guess if you haven't gotten it already, because you will be so over the moon about the developments in this manga. And that's all I can say, because I will actually go into spoilers, but easily, hands down, this was my favorite read of this month. I loved it so very much. Next up is another manhwa, which I originally felt mixed feelings at first when I read it, and I don't know why, and that is Not So Wicked Stepmom Volume 4. I went back and reread a little of it reread it a little bit this morning. I got tongue-tied there, and I loved it. I feel like I actually need to go back. Maybe it was just the timing and not being in the mood at that moment, but this was amazing. Honestly, I get really really surprised when I read this series because it is much more heartfelt than a lot of the other manhwa that I'm reading. In this sense, I feel like most of the manhwa that I read gets me very emotionally invested, and this series does as well, but on a different note or in a different way. And what I mean by that is I feel like this story really engages on a heart level that's not me just ranting or fangirling. I mean, I do fangirling, I do some ranting, but I feel like just as a whole, this story hits so much differently, and I really got emotional when it comes to this family and seeing them grow together and seeing them heal and seeing them just become a family. It has been so deeply satisfying and so very beautiful, and the art is so much fun, and the characters have really great moments, and how they have just really come so far from how they have in the beginning. I saw a spoiler the other day and I was like, I definitely have to keep going, which I plan to, but I was just sad when I came back to this morning, and I was like, I need to reread it in its fullness because I was really bummed that I didn't love it the first time that I read it, and I think it's just because I was in this mindset of, okay, I'm expecting to laugh a whole bunch, and it was much more emotional than just a whole bunch of laughter. So it's definitely still a good volume, but sometimes moods, they just create problems. You know what I mean? They just create problems. This series I keep going back and forth on, but every time I get to the end, I'm always sold and want to read more, and that is I Want to Be a Receptionist in This Magical World. The stakes really went high in this volume, and the reason I say I always go back and forth if I should keep reading it, because I do really enjoy it, but I'm here, I notice, for the romance. I want these two to finally get together, and I feel like we have a lot of it in this volume, so it's like we get these moments where I'm like, yes, I'm feeling so happy and satisfied because I'm getting what I want, and then we go back into the fantasy storyline, which isn't boring, it's very engaging, but I'm just like, the romance, I want the romance to sail, and I feel like because of things that happen, that it's going to, but man, I got really emotional at one certain scene. I was rereading it this morning, and I was just like, whew, like this was a lot. It was really good though, and I definitely am excited to see how the world is expanding and how Nenli here is really chasing her dream. Like, it's really awesome though. I'm like, what's gonna happen in the next volume? Are we gonna have a time skip, or are things just gonna continue as they are? Because one character is not gonna be around as much, and I am very bummed like if we don't have a time skip because that character is not gonna be around. So it'll be interesting to see where things go next. But I continue to enjoy my time reading it, keep getting a new volume because each time I feel happy after I read it. After that, I went and started reading the manga that won my shoujo event, and the first one that I read, I'm trying to get it, is Sand Chronicles volumes 1 through 10. This was such an emotional story, an emotional read. I'm not going to say too much about it because I did do a video review already. It was the first one that I did, and this one, I was shocked how fast I read it, in the sense of like, I was warned by a lot of people that I should leave quite a few days to read it actually, but I think because my mom at that time had pneumonia moment, it was in the hospital, that I had to see how this story unfolded for these characters and see a happy ending, or at least find healing from things that were happening in different circumstances, and how just emotionally compelling these characters were, and just had my heart super tight in their fist, so to speak, because I just really love the characters and the character development that happened, and how, again, just it was so very emotional. I was thinking last night that I was like, I sort of want to come back to this series, even though it ripped out my heart, but I felt my heart was ripped out, and then hope was just put back in my heart, and I felt, or hope was put in my heart, and my heart was put back in my chest. Hopefully I said that well, because it was very, very good, very compelling, and I'm so glad that it won and that I read it, because it is worth the read. It is more than worth the read, and just make sure you have tissues prepared, though. Make sure you have tissues on hand when you go to read this. For this next one, though, I thankfully didn't need tissues, but I needed food to be on hand, because the next series that I won from the shoujo event was Kakuryou Bed and Breakfast Spirits, volumes 1 through 9. This was amazing. This is my personal set. I had checked out library copies originally when I read this, though I did buy volumes 8 and 9. Oh my goodness, I love this so very much. So I was so hungry reading this, and I often had to plan my reading around times that I needed to eat, because then I would get super hungry and couldn't figure out, like, sometimes if I didn't do that, why I was getting sleepy, only to realize, like, I am super hungry and need to go get some food. This was another amazing read. It's very different than Sand Chronicles, and I do have a video review up of this one as well. But yeah, it was very different. It was very comforting and very down to earth, and was just shocked by how much I enjoyed it, because I mentioned in that video review that I typically don't read a lot of things with yokai or like paranormal folklore kind of thing. I think it's more supernatural folklore, but I loved every single volume very, very much. It was a lot of fun, super enjoyable, love the characters. Was like, oh my goodness, like this has been such a fun event so far, and that's not even the end. Then for the last winner that won, that was A Condition Called Love, and then I reread volumes 1 through 7, and then read volume 8 for the first time. Deeply loved coming back to this series and seeing things so much differently than I did when I was reading it as it released, which it was good as it released. I loved it very, very much, each volume, but binge reading it, I had a lot of feelings, like good feelings though, and I did do a video review of this one as well. I'm trying to think of how to put it into words of like not being repetitive here, and I'm just sort of blanking on the words this morning. I think it was just very inspiring in seeing that these characters are so real and lifelike and so very relatable. They're changing, and it's very satisfying to see them change and be reminded that not all change is scary or bad. And like Hotaru said in one of the volumes, if love can change somebody for the worse, love can also change somebody for the better, and how Hanoni actually taught Hotaru that, and seeing the fruit of those words really come to pass with every single volume. And I'm excited to see, well, I'm excited to see, because I did mention, I think it was earlier this week in my manga news video, that Condition Called Love, it's returned, it's off of hiatus, and it's going to be ending in 2 to 3 volumes, and I'm excited to see how it ends, but also like nervous to see how it ends. But I feel confident it will be a good ending. I just hope there's not a lot of problems that happen in between that time. But yes, all three series, were amazing. So again, thank you so much to everybody who voted in my event, who nominated and recommended different titles. It was another incredible event, and I can't wait for next year. Stay tuned for December, because that is when I open up the nominations and recommendations for next year's event. Though I might do next year's event a little bit earlier, I don't know. But December is when I ask for all the shoujo manga recommendations, and then I wait and put those in for next year's event. So yeah, this was great. I loved all 3 of these series. It was very, very amazing. I don't know which one was my favorite read, because I love them all for different reasons and felt very impacted from each of them, which I was hoping for, and very glad that that is indeed what happened. After binge reading these 3 series, I sort of decided to take a little bit of a break, but take things easy, I should say. So the day I actually had a really bad migraine, which was so horrible, I was able to only read 1 volume that day, and that was Last Game Volume 5. This volume made me fall back in love with the series. Not that I was like out of love, though I have mentioned that there was one time that I was going to drop the series, but then my friend Darcy convinced me to come back because of her love and her discussion about it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna come back. And this volume, despite the migraine I had, and it was very hard for me to focus, I was occasionally laughing, and I just had a really good time. This series is just fun. I think it took me having that migraine to just see like, hey, there's nothing deep about this series. It's just these two and their shenanigans, and seeing Yanagi, poor Yanagi, where he loves Kujo so much, but she's very slow on realizing it, but she is realizing her feelings. I really love the ending. I feel like we're going to be progressing even faster with the romance. I loved all of the characters. Like, yes, even the rival girl right here, who I felt a little bit bad for because she's trying so hard, and our main girl, she's just being herself and she ain't trying to do anything different. And, you know, Yanagi is just deeply in love with her. So a very fun volume. Can't wait for the next one. I am like ready to see how the series ends, but I don't want to rush it. And I hope it continues to be that way where it doesn't feel rushed, that it's just a very fun and wonderful time. This was my second favorite read of this month because it shocked me and how much I loved it. And that's Aria of the Beach Forest. Oh my goodness, this is a 3-volume series coming from Yen Press. This volume was everything I didn't even know I needed. It was so much fun, so comforting and wholesome and just so much fun. The art was so charming, and I love how there were some food elements that had some recipes, and I really feel like it has slice of life vibes, but it's not a slice of life manga. I feel like I was engaged the entire time, but I feel like if a person's like, I'm starting to get a little bit bored, there's a new character that shows up, and I love how the characters are like a variety of ages. Like we have an older person that's probably like in their 20s, and then we have our main girl who's like a teenager, and then we have a really young character, then we have our talking wolf here who gets treated like he's the dog. Then we have a few other characters that show up throughout the series, and I loved every single moment. And the reason I say this is my second favorite read of this month is because of how surprised I was. I honestly didn't expect to love this volume nearly as much as I did. I was like, I'm just gonna try it because it looks cute, and here I am, like, I want to read the whole thing. I'm definitely gonna be buying the other volumes. I can't wait to see where this goes. This is definitely gonna be on my like one of my most anticipated lists of things I really want to read when it like releases. I'm trying to find a page so I can show you guys, but look how cute they are. I love their shenanigans together and just how cute and wonderful they are. Sorry, I keep saying that, but it really was a fantastic read. And here's the guy with the motorcycle. He's really cool. I really liked him, but I would highly recommend it if you're looking for a like cozy fantasy story with a witch, if you're looking for something that has Ghibli vibes, looking for something that has a little bit of cooking and food that's woven in. I guess it is a fantasy story, but it does have contemporary vibes. I can't expand on that without giving spoilers. So if you want something that has that fantasy element, but you wouldn't mind it having real world elements, this is a good one to try. It is so good. I am really looking forward to coming back and recommending volume 2, hopefully, because I definitely will probably reread this again before the second volume releases, only because that is just how much I enjoyed it. And last but not least, I read The Ice Guy and the Cool Girl volume 5 on the last day of June, and this was so wonderful. I squealed so much, and there was a quote by our main girl. They're at not a sports festival, but they're having some kind of, I'm blanking on the name, but they're having something happen for their job, and our main girl's like, I had no idea that cheering for someone with all your might can make your heart race so much. And I'm like, girl, this is how I feel when I read about you, man. Her and Himuro, oh my gosh, I love them so much. And there was a business trip that happened and things happened, and I'm just like, everything was absolutely amazing. I loved it so much. I read it so fast. I felt more invested in this volume specifically than I have in previous volumes, even though I love them too. But there were just so many great things that happened, and seeing other characters. I'm really excited because it does seem like our secondary couple, they're not really a couple, but I'm hoping that maybe that how the ending implied that maybe they're going to be the focus or have much more page time. And I'm 100% here for that because I really love them. I was rereading volume 4 and I was just like, they're so great. Like the whole thing, these characters, the story, I love it all. And this was like such a wonderful way to wrap up the month because I just felt so happy inside. I still feel really happy. And honestly, all of these reads made me really happy. They might have like pulled super hard on my heartstrings and made me hungry and made me feel all of the things, but I really enjoyed this month of reading. Definitely want to come back and return to some of these and reread them in a better mood or in a better mindset. But overall, it was an epic month of reading for June, but I would love to hear from you friends. What are some manga that you enjoyed reading or some manhwa as well? Let me know down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!